Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Angry in the Middle. I'm Walter. I'm here live on Facebook and taping for YouTube, and here to talk about all kinds of stuff. It is 1 week since the election of Donald Trump and the end of America as we know it. There's been hell in the streets of the cities. The protests are going on and on and on. And I think even like as late as last night, but over the weekend, more and more, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people coming out. And hey, what's up, Stacy? All kinds of people just coming out to protest the election of Donald J. Trump. But the talk of the last 48 hours, though, was mostly, my internet, it seems really slow, I keep jumping around there. The last 48 hours has all been about Donald Trump's cabinet, right? The appointments of Steve Bannon. It looks like Chris Christie is officially out, but now they're trying to get rid of all of Chris Christie supporters and allies to kind of like purge. They're purging the Donald Trump administration of anybody who's friends with Chris Christie. Everyone has ever had dinner with Chris Christie, and it's beyond the Bridgegate thing, right? His son-in-law is the son of Kirshner, who Christie put an end to and destroyed, right? So, and it's funny, like, for doing his job, right? He did his job to bring down this guy's father for doing all kinds of criminal shit, and so this guy marries Trump's daughter, and now Ivanka's husband, right? And now they're destroying, as if Chris Christie needed any help destroying. I mean, he's a self-destructive motherfucker. But you know, all this is going on. But I heard somebody mention in the process of these morning news shows and weekend news shows about the idea that Donald Trump is going to inspire in the DNC what Obama has done to the GOP. Like the Tea Party came out of the 2008 and 2012 elections, right? All of a sudden, oh my goodness, there's a black man in the White House. We need like to go back to the founding fathers and like the Teas. So I remember seeing like this 23-year-old girl who was like one of the founders, so-called founders of the Tea Party, pouring gallons of iced tea into a river or bay. I think it was in DC or wherever she was. And as a protest for Obama and like the direction of the country, says, oh my gosh, we got to get America back. We're losing America. These brown people are in the White House. It's like an oxymoron. It's like, So the new talk is, and then every time they lose, Ted Cruz and the crazies, the Nazis, the white supremacists, the Steve Bannon types, right? The guy who's about to be Donald Trump's right-hand man, like most powerful guy in DC pretty much, says we got to be more conservative. That's what we need. We lost to a progressive, so what we need to be is more conservative. And I kept thinking, oh my God, with Donald Trump winning, maybe those idiots will shut up now, because if anything, as for all the conservative alt-right rhetoric Donald Trump like spit and shit for 18 months, he's pretty much a Democrat, right? He's not a conservative. And you go on radio and hear Mark Levine and Rush Limbaugh and Alex Jones and all these other nut jobs going, oh my God, he's not a conservative. We need a conservative. We need more conservatives. We need to do this, right? No, clearly that's not what the American people have said. You kept losing, going more and more conservative. There's that percentage of people that will vote Republican that don't pay attention because they've been with you since before 1964 and vote Republican no matter what, don't do any research, and then you have the other people, but then everybody else ran away.
To get like him to fire Bannon already.
Well, yeah, though they're trying to get rid of Bannon, but what's going on the other side of the aisle now, right? All this talk about how much more conservative we need to get because Obama won twice. Now that Donald Trump has won, that all the Democrats are saying, oh, we got to go more progressive now. We got to go more extremely left. We got to like promise free college and free healthcare and free like unemployment for life, whatever, like the other opposite extremes, right? Instead of saying, let's come to the middle, let's make money available for those when they're truly hurting. But let's, I still say I'm sorry. And if you haven't figured it out, I am a conservative. I was anti-Trump, but I am still a conservative in the sense that I am still, there is just way too much money being spent on people that really don't need the help. And then there's people that need the help that can't get the money they need because people that are in my column want to cut off all money to everybody because of a few abusers. No. But there's a lot of people that really, they need help. And there are people out there, there are disenfranchised people like Dave Chappelle said, the truly disenfranchised. I'm sorry, if a white man feels disenfranchised, it's because you're drinking too much alcohol and doing too many drugs. It's your own damn fault. You're an asshole, probably. For a white man in this country to feel disenfranchised, you probably were drinking the wrong Kool-Aid for way too long and then finally woke up and realized, oh shit, what happened? Or you are blatantly racist and all of a sudden you can't deal with all the brown faces. If you feel disenfranchised as a white man in this country, I'm sorry. You need therapy, not Donald Trump. Because there are people that really are disenfranchised, that really do have people trying to get their vote not to count. There are people out there that really do have problems and live in shittier neighborhoods because the education system is not as good as where I grew up in Montgomery County, Maryland, and where there was plenty of money, and or Fairfax County, Virginia, or even, the couple. And you know what? There's two things going on. There's two things going on right now. This whole divide. My biggest problem with the great divide of this country, the fact that New York is too Democratic, has destroyed New York City schools and New York State schools. New York State schools are subpar because the Democrats rule without check far too often. Okay? Same thing happens in other places. Michigan, like Dick Snyder in Michigan, right? It's too Republican. Even though they've gone blue for like the president lately, the governors, if it's too red, the conservatives are, without check. And let's stop using liberal and conservative. I'm so sick and tired of conservative and liberal because these terms are bullshit. These terms are such bullshit. Every issue, and you know why? Because every issue, all of a sudden, you're either the Democrat or the Republican on the issue, and there's no in the middle. And most of the time, 90% of the time, the truth is in the middle. Both sides are wrong. The truth is out there. No, the truth is in there. The truth is in there, and both left and right are fucking wrong. 90% of the time. 90% of the time, you're both fucking wrong. I'm sorry. Angry in the middle, right? I had a week to stew. I got some alcohol, then a couple days. I was doing okay. But I keep hearing all this speculation, and I keep hearing all this talk from people from both sides on TV, friends, family. I keep hearing all this talk. And 90% of it is bullshit. And not just because of the 90-10 rule, like only 10% of everything people say is worth your time. And it's not equally divided. Like for some people, 20% of what they say is important to listen to. Other people, maybe 2%. Maybe. Some people just run the fuck away. But if you don't listen to everybody, you miss the important stuff. Now, we're not listening to the other side enough. The left and the right are not listening to each other enough. They're going into their corners like it's a boxing match and only listening to their boxing manager says, oh, what you gotta do is go in there and give him a right hook, or you gotta be like Rocky and, let him get tired, right? No, you need to talk to each other because you're both fucking wrong on either sides of the issues. I guarantee it, 90% of the time. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what your morals are. You're probably wrong. I'm not saying I have the answers, but the answer lies in a conversation of multiple ideas coming together so that you can come up with a great idea by sifting out the extreme bullshit on either side. When one party, the next 2 years, it's not going to last. The next 2 years are going to be fucking scary because one party. Now, the only good thing is Donald Trump is not a Republican. And he lied through his teeth through all the assholes and morons out there in the alt-right and the KKK, the people that are like doing their celebration dance. Yay! We can be shitty to black people again. We can keep brown people from going to school. Look, Trump's wall on a t-shirt. Look, I'm a high school kid. Yeah, you know what? Fuck you. No, this is not a mandate to be a bigger asshole. It's not. This is not a mandate for anybody. And you know what? Losing the popular vote is not America speaking. My God, if I hear another goddamn senator, congressman, pundit from the right side saying, America has spoken. No, they haven't. Less than 50% of the people that voted spoke the way you wanted them to. But less than 50%, a million people more were not on your side when it comes to Hillary and Donald. But because the Electoral College, and I'm not complaining about the Electoral College because look, yeah, again, 2012, Donald Trump, Romney should have won. He won the Electoral College. Yeah, he won the popular vote, blah, blah, which didn't end up being true. Like in the early account, he was saying that. He never apologized for it. He doesn't apologize for shit. He finally said on 60 Minutes Sunday, stop being assholes and morons, right? Stop being racist. Stop harassing kids. Stop harassing women. Stop harassing people because they have a tan and you think they're Hispanic.
He didn't say all that. He just said stop.
Yeah, he said stop it. And my mother and other people I talked to said he was pretty emphatic. I said, no, he wasn't.
For first, he tried to minimize.
He wasn't emphatic about shit.
First, he tried to minimize.
He minimized and said, yeah, if that's what's really going on out there, they shouldn't do it.
He said, I didn't know it was happening.
Right. So, no, Donald Trump needs to get out there and say, I do want to be the president for all Americans, but all Americans includes my gay friends, my Jewish friends, my black friends, my Hispanic friends, my Muslim friends, everybody. We are human beings. Our ethnicity, our race is human. To the asshole I thought was my friend in college and working at a bar, and we sat down for beer afterward, he says, well, black people are inferior in their physiology and their anatomy, and they're actually inferior, scientific, because science is proven. I haven't talked to that asshole since. I'm like, oh, I've never actually sat down with a God-raised or whatever, God-fearing racist before. You just totally took me by surprise. So I have had experience with real racism, and I haven't been the victim of it that much, yada, 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 but I have stopped because he was asked, he was stopped because he had to, right? He's on 60 Minutes, he's with Leslie Stahl, what are you going to do, right? But I'm not saying he didn't want to say that. I believe he wants that message across. He's just being, the Donald Trump not being an asshole for 2 weeks does not make him presidential. Because the problem with Donald Trump, when he's not bombastic, Donald Trump, you can calm down. You can lower your voice and still have all that energy inside. If you want, hire me. I'll train you how to be a public speaker when you're not being an asshole. There's a screaming and like, hey, I'm just telling you what the people want. Hey, build a wall. Oh my God. I feel like Jay Leno right now. Yeah, we're going to build a wall and we're going to get rid of all the Muslims and we're going to let you keep your guns and not the black people. Don't worry, racist assholes. We're only going to take the guns away from the black people. We're going to let you keep your guns, right? Hispanics, don't even think about it. Don't get us started, right? No, but you can still be calm. Don't take my word for it. Watch Obama. Obama could give a stomp speech better than anybody. A stump speech, rather. He might be able to do stomp too with the umbrellas or the go down there at the theater down there on 2nd Avenue and 8th Street and do stomp. But you can talk in a calm way and express empathy when it's sincere. But you can tell you're an insecure piece of shit. Period. You know how I know? Because when you let go of the ego, you sit and your chest energy collapses. And your demeanor collapses. And you trying to be calm. Almost like you're playing a submissive puppy. All of a sudden, it's not empathy. Or maybe you're playing an act, but you're a horrible actor because you're a reality star. there's better ways to do it. At least Al Gore hired somebody to help him do it better. He failed, but he tried. It's not that hard. It takes a little bit of training, but it takes a lot of empathy. Or you have to be better at pretending to give a shit. You know, a good leader doesn't always have to give a shit, but you have to pretend and be believable. And there are blind followers out there that you don't have to be smart for. Yeah, and most of them are Republicans these days. But you don't have, you can be, not all of them. There are some blind followers, or a lot of, well, actually take that. There's a lot of blind followers on both sides. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have what it takes to be president. And and you can't blame Donald Trump. You can't blame Donald Trump. You can blame the GOP for not doing a better job at running a better candidate that left the vacuum for Donald this year. He's been playing with the idea of running for a long time. All of a sudden he said, this is my field. I got this. And then Hillary Clinton was the one that he couldn't beat because she's the one person that has more skeletons in her closet than he does.
But he's there and there's nothing you can do about it.
There's nothing you can do about it.
But now he has Bannon.
And now he has Bannon. So Steve Bannon, I think.
Is it Bannon or Bannon?
Bannon, I think. No relation to David. He's not the Hulk, or Bruce, right?
Bruce is Bannon.
I had a picture. I looked like Banner. Steve Bannon today before I cut my hair. It's kind of like, hey, look, I'm a racist from Breitbart. Hey, ooh.
Banner, not Bannon.
You know, Steve. It's like Steve Bannon. I've been comparing all day to the first elder from X-Files. You might remember, yes, we had people on a train and they were aliens, and they weren't aliens, they were smallpox. Yeah, man. It's and I'm not here to, all that being said, I'm still in the column, let's give the guy a chance. I'm not saying stop protesting. I'm not saying anybody to be quiet, because until that asshole comes forward and says, I'm sorry for being an asshole to half of the American people. I'm sorry for being such a way that promotes racism and emboldens racists and sexists. I'm sorry I've been a sex offender for most of my life, grabbing pussy left and right. I'm sorry. I don't think we're ever going to get that from him. I don't think. I think Donald Trump could do a 5-minute speech and fix everything. He could focus, but then the dementia is going to set in, the senility, the ADHD, and whatever else he's got. And that's not disqualifying stuff. That's what makes him do the disqualifying things. That's why he doesn't have the judgment to not do the disqualifying things.
He's still tweeting about the election results this morning.
Yeah. Well, he's out there on defensive mode because, you know why? Because he's an insecure. He's an ego maniac, which is an overcompensation for an insecure piece of shit. And that's what our president is now. And you know what? And I'm someone who defended Bush to the liberals. I've defended Obama to the conservatives. I just made a lot of jokes about Clinton, didn't defend him at all. But it's not funny. Yeah, he's a true narcissist. And I had a long conversation with someone I love very dearly, and they tried to tell me that he's going to go in and do this, and this, and this. I says, how do you know? Because you're saying he's not going to do the things he said he was going to do, but you're saying he's going to do the things he said he did. Like, how does anybody watching this say, okay, I trust he's going to do these things, but of course he's not going to do these things. Now, maybe the things in column B or C that he can't do or won't do are because he's going to have the reality check. Oh, it actually does cost money, or if I rip up TPP or NAFTA or rip up NATO or rip up all these other things like my Breitbart asshole friends want me to do, that I could start World War III. fucking reality sucks sometimes when you're an asshole, you know? Sometimes you hit that wall, not like the Mexican's wall that he wants to build. You just hit the wall of fucking reality, right? You hit the wall and you realize, okay. So again, my prescription, people on the far left, people on the far right, shut the fuck up and start listening to each other. All those that are like trying to create what I'm calling the herbal tea party, like the people that are like, we need to be more progressive, that's why we lost. Just like the Tea Party, we need to be more conservative. That's why we lost. That's why you lost bigger in 2012. No, you went too conservative, so you lost bigger in 2012. And then you get through your governors in the off years, like the idiots in Maine and Michigan. So I am a registered Republican at this point. I am here to be a part of the solution. But I am a moderate Republican, and I'm demanding my party and my country and my president to start the fuck listening to what's really going on, to stop being held hostage by the extremists. And I would hope that my friends on the left do the same. I'm not left or right. I've rejoined the Republican Party because I honestly believe too many people like me left the party, and that's why the two parties have become ridiculously left and right. That is why we have the alt-right and the Tea Party and all these other factions and the libertarians splintering off. I probably am a libertarian, but they just scare the fuck out of me. So, because they're like, you know what it is? Anybody that's out there, I keep wanting to like go to party meetings and like try to be a part of the solution, right? I want to go to organizational community events and be more of a part of the solution, not just somebody complaining on Facebook but one, I'm not 100% sure I'd rather go to Republican versus Democratic meetings or whatnot. I definitely don't want to go to splinter group meetings and be like, we're not being heard, we're not being understood, we're being overlooked. I'm a disenfranchised white man. When are my needs gonna be met? Stupid black people taking all the special things. Very true, Jody. So, none of this is gonna fix itself. None of this is gonna be fixed at all.
What about the...
Harry Reid is leaving, so I think that's a good thing. Harry Reid is a problem.
He's leaving?
Harry Reid's retiring in another month or two.
Trump and Kellyanne,
yeah.
She threatened. She said they were going to sue him.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, Kellyanne Conway can go do what she wants to do to herself. Well, I'm sure Trump's already done it. But, again, any individuals, I mean, there are a lot of idiots out there. I think we got to stop labeling groups of people. But anybody that's out there doing asshole shit in the name of Trump, just fucking stop. Anybody out there doing asshole shit in retaliation to Trump, stop. And that's not protesting. Protest. Violent protest, you deserve to be arrested. You deserve jail if you do violence in protest or in support. If you are out there keeping people from expressing their First Amendment right to go to school, you deserve to go to jail. I don't care how old you are. Or your parents need to go to jail for teaching you to be an asshole. Take some fucking responsibility, people. Preach.
He doesn't want to live in the White House?
Yeah, I don't know. He's going to live in the, I'm not even starting. I don't want to get into it. I'm going to do a whole nother blog podcast.
Like kids wanting security clearance.
No, yeah, well, security clearance for Eric.
And
little Donnie Jr. Ivanka, I'd probably be okay with because I think she has at least a full brain. Eric and Donnie Jr. share a brain.
What about little Baron, too?
The little kid, little Lord Leroy, Frontenroy, I call him. And the little girl, there's a little girl too, right? There's 5 kids or 4? There's 6 kids, right? Isn't there another little girl?
No.
Is that Pence's little girl? There's like a little girl that was hanging out too. Says maybe that's his date. There's like another little girl.
That might have been
Steve Bannon, though, I will say, Steve Bannon, I got a haircut and I didn't shave today, but I'm not as trim. But Steve Bannon looks like a a drunk ex-cop that's now homeless.
A drunk
Like,
uncle.
he's drunkle. He is drunkle. I mean, Bobby Moynihan can just start doing, I'm not drunkle anymore. I'm Steve Bannon. Oh no, yeah, the girl's 22. No, there was like a shorter brunette hanging out on stage with them at one point when Donald Trump was talking and his son was in a tux. I think it was his acceptance speech, but I think there was a girl on stage that was young. And it was a brunette and... but yeah, I guess he's got the two, the older Ivanka, then the other girl who never wants to kiss her. Guess there's been too many forced kisses there. The problem is, person is marked as Republican or Democrat. Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? And again, I am always more forgiving of extreme left because more often than not, when the left has taken it too far, their goal is education, feeding the poor, making sure people have a roof over their head, trying to level.
Oh, yeah, it might be a grandbaby.
Grandbaby. Maybe that might be Don Jr.'s girl. Yeah. Okay. Yes, there are grandkids. Yeah. And isn't Trump overdue for a new wife? It seems like he's past the par. You know, he's past the limit. I think his wives have term limits. That's so. You know. So here's what I'm preaching. Shut the fuck up and listen. I'm trying to do it. It's hard. You listen to a lot of shit and it's just, listen to me because I have diarrhea that I want you to hear. And that's pretty much 90% of the news. The news is not news anymore. It's not rigged. It's just not news. Huh?
There's a lot of fear mongering.
A lot of fear mongering, but it's also fear. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of hate. There's a lot of fear. There's a lot of insecurity out there. And then you have somebody like Trump that's like a Hitler type or a Stalin type or, you know, a Mussolini type that says, listen, I can rise to power on people's fear and their hate. And they, you know, they hate black people. I can play on that.
Things that people feared are happening. Like, we have a friend that lives in LA who's gay who was called slur last night home and he's leaving the country.
Who is that? What do you want to say? A gay friend in LA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's leaving because he was in LA walking home.
Yeah, you know what? There's this whole
this whole thing about it's not happening.
Yeah, you know, there are racists in every city. There are racists in every town. There are wonderful people in every county. There are I would still say 80% of the people out there are amazing. 80% of the people out there are amazing. And then there's about 10% of the Democratic Party, about 10% of the Republican Party that are deplorable in one way or the other. There are people out there, and when I say people in the Democratic Party, there are people that are out there in the name of the left, and you have all these like wonderful protests going on, right? And then you have actual thugs hiding among them and then stealing shit and looting and doing other things and acting in violence, or actually shooting a cop because he thinks that's like his rebellion, right? That's his retaliation. And I get, you know, it's the extremists among the left. But also there are people feeding on fear, but there's a lot of distrust. So everyone feeds into the absolutism that they hear. People drink the Kool-Aid when they're afraid. But you know what? There's always going to be fear mongers. Religion. I really believe religion was created for two reasons. And I'm not making a judgment on beliefs in God or anything like that. But organized religion created by man started in one of two things. One, it was to help organize society. Two, it was help to instill just enough fear so that we treat each other a little bit better. And then quickly, the third reason came around. One asshole comes around and says, ooh, I got them believing shit now. I can control them with that now. I can control them because they are now God-fearing, right? And I'm not saying there's no God. I'm not saying there's no Jesus. I'm not saying anything about the religious beliefs. But in any organized thing, religion, nonprofits, unions, right? Unions created with great ideas in mind. And then somebody comes along and says, ooh, I could put $100,000 a year in my pocket in addition to charging $200,000 to $300,000 to $400,000 a year in income to run this scam, right? And all of a sudden, there's money going out, right? Yeah, using religion, most of these terrorists, these suicide bombers, are a bunch of kids that aren't that different than some of the Trump supporters, right? They're disenfranchised. They're filled with fear and hate for their future. They have been treated like shit, left behind, they're poor, they have nothing to live for, and then this guy comes along, right, and says, hey, you know what your problem is? It's America. America, it's all America's fault. It's America's fault because when they killed Saddam and they give all this money to Egypt, right? And then they give all this money to this, blah, blah, da, 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 and it's all America's fault. So why don't you come be with us? And, look, that guy, he's ready. See, listen, we could send 100 guys into battle and all die fighting the American army, or one at a time can go with a bomb and take out 100 Americans, or a couple dozen Americans, or a couple Israelis, or whatever, British, French, German, wherever you are, right? We could take them on like a traditional army, but we'll never win. But we can destroy them one at a time if you give yourself to the cause, right? It takes years to develop each one of them. Over the years, they bring them into the file. But you know what? The same thing happens in middle America every single day. And whether it's that sinister or not, you have one guy who says, I lost my job at the plant. And it's because the Mexicans took my job, or the Chinese took my job, or the black people took my job, or because Obama allows Muslims in the country, that's why I can't find work, right? Their own sinister, which is helped by the rhetoric of people like Trump, right? You talk yourself into this place because you're afraid, but you're proud. So it can't be your fault. It can't be, and sometimes it's not this, but a lot of times it is. I can't do a lot of other jobs because I dropped out of high school too soon. For a lot of people, it is. For a lot of people, they have a great wife, they have great kids, and then they come home and drink and beat them. Again, it's not all, but I think there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of people on both sides, because I've dealt with a lot of high schools in New York City with parents from all over the world, and they're abusive. And I talk with deans and teachers, and I try to give these kids some hope with teaching comedy, right? But they get beat. And I always say in the inner city school, that, the problem with gangs, the gangs are like the moguls in Middle East, right? They play on people's fears and lack of hope. And you get these kids that they're getting beaten at home. They're having all kinds of social issues, so they don't do well at school. They're getting yelled at by all these adults at home, at school. The cops, they're afraid of the cops. Like, the cops don't trust us. The cops arrest us. The cops pat us down, stop and frisk, right? I actually had somebody defending stop and frisk to me. He says, have you talked to anybody that's ever been stopped and frisked? Because I know a lot of people that have been stopped and frisked. Did anyone not watch Fresh Prince of Bel-Air in the 90s? When Rich Carlton driving around in his Beamer or Mercedes, whatever he had, like, oh, that only happens to the kids in the ghetto. That's not going to happen to us. Wee, wee, wee. I'm like, oh my God. Driving while black exists for rich black kids too. So it's not always just a class thing. It is a race thing. It's more soaking. Sorry, it's hard to hear. I have horrible light. The light's in my eyes so I can be all shiny on film. Soaking someone else to blame. Yeah. It's always easier to blame somebody else. Even when you know it's not the truth. And in some cases, you start blaming other people to make excuses, and then over time, two things happen. You start to believe your own lie, and then your kids start to hear you bullshitting. And your kids hear what you say, right? And all of a sudden, the way the politician influenced you, you're influencing your kids, and then your kids are wearing blue shirts that say Trump's wall and blocking kids from going to class.
There's no wall coming.
There's no wall coming. Drawing swastikas on synagogues, burning down black churches. Shit we haven't seen, at least not in the news. The stuff we've seen in the last 8 years, we all thought was gone. We all thought this shit was done. We all thought, before I was born, they had this thing called the Civil Rights Movement. And then when I got to the school in the 80s, and they talked about it, said, we have to remember Martin Luther King. And Martin Luther King gave his life. And Malcolm X, maybe took things too far, got a little violent. But, he was preaching. People out there, some people took it too far. The Black Panthers got a little violent. But Assata Shakur, depending on who you believe, I know people that are friends with Assata Shakur. I did an opera written about Assata Shakur. And they claim she never killed a cop. The cops killed each other in the crossfire, and she fled to Cuba, right? She was being raped by cops. I played one of the racist cops in an opera. It was the weirdest thing I've ever done. But I literally was singing opera going, we will fuck you, bitch! We will fuck you, bitch! In 4-part harmony. I was the high tenor. And then I was the governor, and it was like this weird piece called Warrior Sisters. But this woman knew Assata Shakur. She was a friend with Assata Shakur. And she was saying it didn't go down the way the cop said it went down. Now, I'm taking her word for it, yes. But I've sat with this woman many, many times. I think I got an Amazon delivery. Coming! And,
Amazon's on the boycott list of, people that do business with Trump now.
Oh, really? So, we're coming!
I'll go get it.
Okay. So, resume. Coming! Pardon me.
Hi, thank you.
So, I'm going to wrap this up. Don't lose hope. Don't go around blaming. I say a lot, and I will say, you know what? I do say things because I am a little bit of a provocateur on here. Not much. I'm really kind of soft, right? I'm angry in the middle. That might be more these things, actually, because I broke a couple. I got Amazon. What did I get? Let's open up. Let's have a toy opening thing. Yay! Or this might be a shirt. What is this? No, these are new tripods, I think. Yeah. Tripods for my cell phone here. So folks, for all those people who stayed home and didn't vote, we are where we are because of you. For all those people who laid for Donald Trump, we are where we are because of you. But for all those people that go around saying all Republicans are racists, you're equally to blame. For all of you that go around and say all white people are racist, you're equally to blame. Because I know what's going on when you say that, but a lot of people I know, friends and family that are white, hear that and say, oh, really? And you want me to support who? All generalizations, and this generalization is equally false, all generalizations have a darker underbelly. No matter how virtuous your goal, words have a lot of power. A lot of victims become the bully as a defense mechanism. But sometimes the person that heard your message wasn't the bully. It's a third party, and all of a sudden you're the bully to them. We got to end the cycle of bullshit. We have to end the cycle where speculation becomes truth. I turned off MSNBC. I was listening to the news and I was getting work done. All of a sudden, holy shit, there's a new poll of why people think Hillary lost. We had 18 months of polls. No more polls. One, they're all fucking wrong. They're just as wrong as all the pundits that say what they think is true, which is just a bunch of talking points, right? Ever since the Clinton administration, we've had the talking point. Everybody gets their talking points, and then every pundit says the same shit. And then a journalist says, but what about when your candidate did this? Well, Hillary, blah, 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 blah. What about when your candidate did this? Well, Donald is much worse than Hillary. Oh, that's, what about the emails? Oh, well, he grabbed the pussy. Oh, what about the pussy? Well, she had bad emails. Oh, Breitbart.
Well, she won the popular vote for almost 1 million, but who cares? It's hearsay. I mean, nothing can be done about it.
No, but truth is a very elusive thing. There are very few things where truth is truly truth as we think it is. Because even things we think are true now, even as a collective, changes in 10 years. History is written by the victor. Can't wait to hear what they say about this election 20 years from now. Journalism is not a dead art, but journalists are just as beholden
These fake,
to money
there was like
as the politicians.
There's like a whole list of fake, like inaccurate news sites. I posted on my Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
There's at least like 50 of them
Yeah.
that were circulating, and they're saying these influence the elections.
Right. You know what, though? I will say, part of the problem is...
Read them.
Part of the problem is...
You just read the headlines.
You know, I don't agree with Donald Trump that the New York Times is as bad as he says it was. But they are clearly slanted to the left and had it out for him. I'm not saying they were wrong to do it.
Well, I'm saying
but...
like fake, complete and total fake.
No, I know, no, but what happens is, but this is, you don't want to know why. I'm getting to why that happens.
Yeah.
The New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, the so-called mainstream media is slanted to the left. It's not where the right wing says it is. It's not where Donald Trump says it is. It's not it's not in league with the Democratic Party. They just think they're Democratic Party elites that they all go drinking with in Williamsburg and hipsters and Manhattan and the fancy places and, you know, and all these other things and Hollywood and all that stuff, right? They do hang out a lot, but it's not a political arm, right? It's not in league with the DNC. They just happen to believe a lot of the same things. And more often than not, they trend with the DNC. And many times I will agree. I feel they focused more on Donald Trump stories than Hillary Clinton stories when they were negative.
But people
right?
know that about the Times. It's legitimate.
But no, but what happens is it's not as bad as Donald Trump and them say it is, but it is slanted.
But I'm not talking about that.
But because of that, the alt-right or even the fake news starts to pop up. And because people are so anti-New York Times, they let their guard down and say, oh, I can't tell you the number of emails I get from even my own father. And he didn't write this shit. But he forwards these emails from the alt-right. And he lives in Florida now. He's going to get them. And he's a Republican. He gets the Republican emails. I get the Democratic emails, and I read some of them and say, wow, they're just as full as bullshit. So I don't forward them, right? I subscribe to a lot. But these emails get forwarded, and when I take the time to read them, I can usually pick them apart in about 5 minutes and say, well, this is bullshit. So I don't think you can trust anything. You can't trust anything at its face value. Double check everything. Everything somebody says to you, before you go repeat it, double check it. I can't tell you how many people, did you hear Bill and Hillary are getting divorced? Did you hear Donald Trump decided that he's just going to step down? Does that mean Hillary's president now? He says, no, that's Mike Pence, I think. That's how that works.
So there are two different stories that I saw that were outrageous that a lot of people shared that they believe were true.
There's a lot of fake news.
One fake news was that the Pope had actually endorsed Trump.
Right.
Another one I said that Pence was actually...
Where are you getting your news from? Twitter?
No. This...
Was it on the news?
Yes.
On this news?
It was on every major news network. No, I'm saying these are fake stories. They were from the websites that are fake.
Right.
That Facebook is...
Everyone's sharing them.
Yeah, everyone's sharing them.
Right.
These are fake stories.
Right.
Basically, there's a website that outs the fake stories.
Hey, Tracy.
So there was that one. That never happened, but a whole bunch of people shared that Trump was endorsed.
Right. And then they say the New York Times is lying.
But then, no.
The same people.
There's another one that was circulating saying that Mike Pence actually used his conversion therapy to save his marriage, which means at some point he thought he was gay.
Right.
That is also a fake news.
Right.
So all this fake news has been going up everywhere.
Yeah, but that's because you're on Twitter too much.
No, I'm saying it's
or Facebook.
Everyone is on Facebook.
Because you don't see that on MSNBC.
No, but people don't look at MSNBC.
Because at least these guys...
They get 44%.
Yeah.
I'm talking about me personally.
Right.
I never saw either of those stories.
But you will hear people like Kellyanne Conway or pundits from either side sharing these stories as if they're true.
But I'm saying 44% of people get their news from social media, which means they're not looking at them. They're not looking at these TV shows.
You know why also for that? Because John is no longer on the Comedy Central Daily Show. Right? Hey, what's up, Tracy? The Daily Show, Jon Stewart being gone from the Daily Show, I think was a huge miss this past 6 months. I'm not saying Hillary would have won with him in. I don't even care. But I think there's a void right now. There's a lot of people got their news from Jon Stewart. Hey, Lavone too. What's up, Lavone? So who voted for Trump? We got to all start listening. And we got to know that when we say ignorant shit, just trying to be funny, the kids are listening. When the politicians say it, they got to realize that you're listening. And when you say it, you got to realize the kids are listening. And then the kids go to school and treat other kids like shit. Because, I keep going back. And I it's not the whole thing with Giuliani time, right? I don't know if you know that whole story. Was it Louima that got the plunger up his ass?
Yeah.
Right? And it's like, hey, it's Giuliani time. Now, of course, because of that, certain people want to disparage all cops. No. But the assholes and morons are motivated by rhetoric, are emboldened by rhetoric. And everybody needs to be careful. Not PC. I'm a comedian. Fuck PC. But you can still be appropriate and still have some fun. You can still flirt on the line. You can make jokes. But you have to realize words have strength. Words have power. Words hurt. And then every time out there...
Yep.
Yeah.
Ethan says all these things.
Oh my God, yeah, the kids. Tracy, right? All the stuff you heard the kids saying about Nikki the other day. My nephew being bullied at school. Ethan, one of my students. Joke's on him. He can buy them all lunch at the Ritz-Carlton now. But not getting paid to be an actor. He's making more money than I am now, I think. But yeah, people listen. And the kids, you can't hold the kids responsible, right? In the sense that they're kids. It's the parents' fault. Or we can still give them. They're still kids. But there are a lot of adults out there that have gotten it through that it's okay. It's okay. And again, my favorite story is, the problem is these assholes are mostly morons because they're like yelling at this woman with a tan, go back to Mexico. She's Italian with a tan.